Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Sunday in hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Welcome. I think I got this. I got this right, you guys. I think for the first time, I'm actually live on Instagram. It only took 5 years, almost, to go live on Instagram at the same time. I think this is amazing. And I think I am live on Instagram. So this is the first time that I am streaming live on Instagram. Jenny, how are you? Welcome. For those of you who are new to my lives, if you join me on Instagram, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to answer you or not yet, but I'll figure it out, of course. Hey, somebody joined on Instagram. I don't know who. Hey, if you joined on this, that's Jenny, right? Jenny, you just joined on Instagram too? Comment there. Yes, there you go. Oh my goodness, this is amazingness.com. Okay, so yeah. Well, I'll tell you more about my lives on the first of the year because that's a big day for me as far as lives are concerned. That actually marks my fifth. Yeah, I can't. I mean, this is crazy. My fifth year in a row of doing lives of a different subject every night. I don't even know how many. I mean, uh, too much. What? Too money. Oh, good. Looks good on IG. That's awesome. This is so awesome. I'm using StreamYard, and man, this service. It just came out with this with Instagram a couple days ago, so I was so excited to try it. T Money, I'm so glad you're here. You're gonna like this one actually. You're gonna like this one a lot. So let's get started. For yeah, so beginning of the year, the first of the year, I'm gonna do my fifth year anniversary. Um, I got it right. That's 5 years of doing lives in a row. So let's get into tonight's live. Yesterday we had this goal setting call with my mentor and friend, Michelle Barnes. And it was like a 3 hour call, but 3 hour workshop, if you would. And it was amazing. It was pretty, it was, I had so many like takeaways and breakthroughs. But one of the things I held dear to my heart since yesterday is this. There's a part that she was talking about. Hey, what are some of the things that you have done in the past that you would want to change, like not to do them in the future? And I thought, and I thought that was amazing. The recording is going to be available tomorrow. Um, so I thought that was pretty like profound. I don't know why it hit me the way it hit me, but you know, she said, "Yeah, what are some of the things that you've been doing or you've done in the past that like you would never want to do or you won't want to do or you'd want to change, right?" And it took me to a different place, I admit, and this is where I ended up. Is that I looked back at my I don't know why I glanced back at my like prior years, right? And for some reason, some things came up, right? Some things showed up, and I was like, wow, I've had some rough times, some dark times. Who can relate with those? Anybody can relate. Maybe drop a thought, maybe drop a comment or something. If you're live on Instagram, let me know you're live on Instagram. This is my first time live on Instagram, so I'm actually really excited. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, so if you can relate with that, maybe you can drop a thought. Samir, namaste. So it made me think of it. It took me to a different path, and that path was like, yeah, I've had some rough times, dark times. I've done some stuff that I wouldn't sit here and be like really proud of, right? I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm pretty sure nobody would call me up and give me stage time for those things I've done, Um, but we are here, right? Now, some may have some may have really, really rough pasts, and some may have not so rough, just kind of tough, what have you. You classify it because it's so subjective. But when you have such a, let's just call it dark, okay? Let's just say if you have such a dark past, okay, and something you're not proud of, and something that you kind of don't want to share a whole lot. It's not something you bring up at every party, right? It's not something you want to be recognized for, right? And let's say you have something like that in your past. Well, what do you do with the future? I mean, as you go forward, right? Every forward movement you take, that movement just became your past. Do we agree or do we agree, right? Um, you take one step forward, that one step you just took, that just became your past. So if you're going step by step and you're taking this darkness with you, you can see that, it's not. So what do you do, right? It's you taking it with you. That's why when they say you carry the past, it's like, look, you take one step to the future, and that one step just became your past, and you carrying it into the future, you're carrying your past. So what do you like, what's the answer for you, right? Like, what do you do? Like, what can you do, right? Well, I'm going to name a couple of people. Maybe you recognize these people. um, Maybe not. Maybe some of them you do, maybe some of them you don't. But maybe you connect with some of these people. Okay. And then let me know if I'm wrong somewhere. Right? You guys still with me? I'm so glad I'm live on Instagram. I'm like so excited. Um, oh, Samir is here. Hamid is here. Glow is here. Elham is here. Okay, okay. I'm saying hi to you guys. Um, if I missed you, I'm sorry, but so I'll run a couple of names by you. See if you recognize. Well, do you recognize their past, and do you recognize them, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Jacob was a cheater. Do you recognize Jacob? Not yet. Okay. Peter had a temper. You couldn't talk to him a lot in the beginning. Like, he would snap. Do you remember? Do you know Peter? No. David, David had an affair. We all know about that. Noah, you do know Noah, right? Are you following these names? Noah got drunk. Jonah ran from God. So like, no thanks. This is a good one. This is a good one. Paul was a murderer, wasn't he? Killed Christians. Gideon was insecure. Miriam was a gossip. Martha was a warrior. Thomas, Thomas, Thomas was a doubter. Sarah was impatient. Elijah was moody. We know some moody people. Anyway, Moses stuttered. Zacchaeus was, I ruined that name, I'm sorry, was short. Abraham was old. Lazarus was dead. And then he came back. So maybe you can relate with some of these names, right? Maybe not relate with the names, but obviously relate with their past. I know that I have not a murderer, but I know I stutter, right? I know that I'm not old. I know I'm not dad, but I know that I worry. I have a gossip. I have my insecurities. I have ran from God. I've definitely had a temper. I'm not a cheater. Not affairs. I've doubted. I've been impatient. I've been moody. I don't know if I'm short. Some say I am. But do you relate with some of these? These are some pretty hardcore stuff. Drunk, murderer. I know some people that have had some pretty dark pasts, and have come out to be unbelievable messengers. Now, the message, you got to find out. I'm not here to share that with you because your story is unique to you. But, I say this all the time, and this is one thing that I stick by. It's stories are meant to be shared, not stored. Stories are meant to be shared, not stored, right? So if that's the case, if the darker the story, it could have the more massive impact. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to, I want to give you one really, really important point here, because the secret gate, I want to give you that secret gate from that dark past to a better future. And I mean this by every fiber in my being. That secret gate is this. When you truly believe that you've done wrong and you've had a dark past, and there is a message in all that mess, the secret gate becomes, well, in my book, is you give your life to Lord, and you start reversing everything, which means you start, as much darkness you gave, now you give as much light, which means now you become good. Now you make impact. Now you go out there and you change lives. Now you make it a point in your life to be constantly giving back and making up for it. Why do you see people who have been like gang members, murderers, and have been in drug busts, and have been, in multiple stuff, right? How do you think those people turn it around and become massive movers and shakers, right? And not only we watch them, we tell their stories. We go out there and tell this story. Like, I know this person, I know this pastor. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you about his past. We, in fact, tell those stories. But one day, I want you to know that those people were maybe ashamed, embarrassed, felt low in their lives because of that same story. Now that you and I pick and choose and tell everybody else. One day they weren't going to share that story. One day they were ashamed of it. One day they were in deep deep depression. One day they were like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this? But that golden bridge, that secret bridge between that dark past and that good future is that you start doing good. Not only you admitting, hey, this was everywhere, right? Not only you admit the dark, but see, there's this. If you don't admit to the dark, there's no story out of that. There's no rise out of that. That's just gloating. That's ego. That's not inspiring. That doesn't help much. Nobody likes to hear that stuff. They'll tune out. But if you admit to the darkness, okay, that's called transparency, right? You're just transparent. You admit to it, and then you got this mission. You make it a point in your life to do that same thing and to give back. I love how Ray says it. Ray Higdon says, help the person you used to be, right? Hey, used to be a crackhead? Well, help crackheads. Used to stutter, used to do this, then help those people, right? So the whole thing that, oh, you know, the whole thing about the stories, the darker they are, the better the message out of them, only if you have something to show. Like if you're stuck in that dark past, yeah, I wouldn't talk about it either. If you're stuck in that dark past and you have no plan out of it, yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about it either. Who would want to hear you? It's like, I'm stuck in this mess and I have no plans to go anywhere with my life. Who would want to hear that? Nobody. Like, that's complaining. Blaming. That's like, let me see who's calling. Oh, yeah. No. This dude always complains. Have you had that before? Like, yeah. Right? So the only thing that the whole secret gate is you got to not get stuck there. You got to get out of it. You got to have a better story to tell. And the only person who can tell that story, if it's not going to be a lie, is you living it. Like living that purposeful life, right? Living that life of giving back. Because maybe at some point you took a whole heck of a lot more than you should have, right? So again, the only secret gate out of that whole darkness is that you start doing better, you feel better, you do good, you admit, you're transparent, and you show a plan, you show what you're doing. You're like, hey, I was this. I love that. That's the reason why I love stories. You know, everybody loves a Rocky story. Everybody loves a Rocky story, right? Nobody would love a Rocky story if Rocky didn't do crap, right? Still generation after generation after generation after generation after generation, Rocky is Rocky, right? So everybody loves that story, the whole out of that darkness, the whole transition, if you would. So the secret gate, the golden gate, is that transition, is that you getting out by giving back what you think you took. So hopefully with that, you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from my Instagram, folks. This was my first time live on Instagram. I think everything went well. Got a couple people on. I'm not really sure who's on, who's not on yet. I don't know if I can tell or not yet, so I'll figure it out. And yeah, so drop a takeaway. Let me know what you thought about this. Again, you know, you guys know about, well, some of you know a lot about my past, but most of you know a pretty decent amount of my past, and it hasn't been all bright lights and sunshine and smooth sailing, if you would. So I've had some, some scars to prove it. But with all that, this is what I have come to, and I share this all the time. Look, if you got, if you feel like you got stories, you're sitting on a gold mine, because stories, it's everything. People love stories, and here's the thing: don't leave us hanging. That's what people don't want to hear. A good story's got a powerful ending. You write the ending. You're like, I was broke, this. 10 years after, you're like, I'm still broke, this. That's not a powerful ending. No director would want to invest in that movie. They'd be like, that's a horrible script. But you're like, I was broke, this, and now I am this. And they're like, whoa. So how, that's a powerful story. So don't get stuck in that. Don't leave us hanging, right? Don't leave people hanging. So I think that's the most important thing. Again, drop a takeaway. If you love this, share it in your with Instagram. I think you can tag people, right? And with Facebook, it's probably better to tag people as well, and YouTube as well. So this was exciting that I was able to go live on Instagram as well. So with that, I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Signing off until tomorrow when we do it all over again. Much love.